Hello everyone. So today we are going to see how can we write custom select query in the Spring Data JPA. So we will use here @query methods. So only @query method supports only select operations. So what is the syntax of using this? So first of all you have to write the method public and its return type method and parameters, and above the method this annotation we have to use @query, and in this we can give the HQL or JPQL query or native SQL queries. So the native SQL queries means develop using database table and columns, and these native queries are database dependent. That is, if you go for Oracle, then there may be some slight changes. If we go to the MySQL, then there will be some changes. That means that are the native SQL queries. Then if you go for JPQL or HQL queries, these are database independent, because here what we'll do, this query is developed using the entity class names and properties, and the underlying ORM software converts every JPQL or HQL query into database software specific SQL query internally by taking the support of dialect component. So before sending the executing the query in the database. So for that reason we use this HQL or JPQL queries over these native SQL queries, because native SQL queries are database dependent, but these HQL or JPQL queries are database independent. The dialect will convert that these HQL or JPQL queries into native SQL queries according to the database by using this dialect. So let's go to the Eclipse, and here we will see the how it is working. So here I am using STS. So go to the files, go to the new, and here you can see Spring Startup project. And next here we will create one project with Spring Data JPA select queries. Then next is click on next, and then here we have to add the dependencies. First one is we will add is Lombok, then MySQL driver, then we have to add a Spring Data JPA and click on finish. So the project will be created here. So here you can see Spring Boot Data JPA select. So let me close all the other projects. So in this you can see in the project Spring Boot Data JPA select in the pom.xml. Let us see what are the dependencies we added. So MySQL, Lombok and Spring Boot Data JPA. The next thing what we have to do is go to the src main Java, and here you can see src main resources. Then go to the application.properties. Then here in the application.properties we'll give some properties here, data source. So spring dot data source dot URL. Then this is a JDBC URL we have to give. That means whatever which database we are using. So here I am using MySQL. So here we have to give the JDBC colon MySQL colon / local host colon and port number what is 3306/new, and I have already created one schema in the MySQL workbench. The schema name is new. You can also create here. You can see here by clicking on this you can create the schema. So I have already created that schema that I have given here, and this is a JDBC URL for MySQL. Localhost means this is a MySQL database is present in this computer, and this is the port number of MySQL. So JDBC colon MySQL colon / localhost 3306/new. Then username and password we have to give. So data source dot username, and this username, and next one is spring dot data source dot password we have to give. And so these are the username and password given to the MySQL at the time of downloading. Then next one we will write some here JPA related. So spring dot JPA dot show underscore SQL show slash dash SQL. We will write here true. So we want to see the queries. Next one is spring dot JPA dot hibernate dot DDL auto. Here we will give update. Update means it will first see whether the table is present or not. If the table is not present, then it will create the table. Otherwise, what will happen? It will store the data into already the clear table is available. So this update what will do? If the table is present, then it will store that data into the table. If the table is not present, then it will create the table. So next thing what we have to do is go to the src main/java, the package. So right click on this package and go to the new, and here we will create first class. So here we will create employee, and the package should be com.app.entity. So employee class will be created, and this employee will here we'll create some variables: private, integer, mp id, private, string, emp name, private. Then what we can take here, string, emp department, private, double, emp salary, right? So this class we have to map with the table. So for that we have to give here entity annotation. So entity entity annotation we have to use, and for importing this press Ctrl Shift O, and you have to import this javax.persistence, import javax.persistence.entity. Next thing is, so we have to create getter and setter. So here we already added the lombok, so here we can give above entity will give at the data. So it will create getter and setter, and no rx constructor, all rx constructor. And if you want to give the table name other than this, if you want the table name as like this class name, then you can skip this. If we want to change the name of table, here we can give at the table annotation. In that we have name. Here I will give emp tab, right? Then also this emp id I will take as primary key and auto generate the value. So for that, generated value and strategy equals to identity. So in the case of MySQL, we have to give identity. Otherwise, if you are using Oracle, then here you can give sequence. So here I am using MySQL, so give identity. Then here, if you want to change the name of column other than employee ID, then here we can use column, and name we can give as EID. If we didn't give, then the table will be created with the column name emp id. Also, if you want to change here, and name we have to give as ename. Then next thing I will give here is column as name as dpt department, and at that column name as esal, right? So here I taken employee ID, employee name, department, salary, and the annotation. And here, so I will create one, right click on this, go to the source. Here we'll create one, generate the constructor using the fields, and here we will uncheck this employee ID, and by using employee name, employee dpt, employee salary, we will create one constructor. So here you can see the constructor is created with the three fields, that is employee name, employee dpt, and employee salary. So the entity class is done. So here in this, now next thing what you have to do is right click on this com.app, then go to the new, and here we'll create one interface, that is employee repository TORY in the package called com.app.repo. Then click on finish. So here we'll extend JPA repository, and here we have to give the entity class name. Here we have taken employee, and whatever the primary key column, that data type of this, here you can see in the employee, here we have given ID, that means it is the primary key, and that data type of this variable is what, integer, so that we have to give in the repository. So paste here, and for importing employee, press Ctrl Shift O. So this is important. Now next thing what you have to do is entity is done, then repository also done. So now what we'll do, we'll create here one runner. So right click on this com.app, for go to the class, and here we'll create one class called test runner, and this package of this is com.app.runner runner. Then we will implement CLR, that is command line runner, and here override the method, add an implemented method, and here we have to give the component. So now next thing what we will do, we'll save the data into our table. So by using this JP repository methods we can do that. So here we'll take private employee repository repo @autowired, Ctrl Shift O for importing employee repository. Then here we have to use, so repo.save, and here we have to pass the entity. So I will give here a new employee, so name I will take as A, then department QA, and salary I will give as 200.0. Let's save this, Ctrl Shift O for importing employee. And why we are not giving the employee ID, because in the employee table you can see that we have given this as a primary key, and the generated value it will automatically generated. So in the runner we'll only give the employee name, department, and salary. So let me give again this some more values. So A, B, then C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L up to L we will store first of all, then we will see the how can we write the custom queries. So dev B, here we'll write the departments, and salary we will also modify 400, 600, 700, 900, 1110, 1210, 14, 16, 18, 19, and 20. So first of all what will happen, here this employee repository will save this data into the table. So if the table is already not available, then it will create the table with the name employee emp tab, and which have the columns called EID, ename, department, salary. So let's see. So in the Spring Boot Data JPA, select application, press Ctrl F11 for running. So run as Spring Boot application. Okay. Running. Here you can see create table employee tab with the employee ID, department, employee name and salary. You can also see that the queries are executing. Insert into employee tab, whatever the data we are inserting, that will be inserted, and employee table will be created. So let's go to the MySQL workbench, and if I refresh, earlier there is no table. If I refresh here, the table will come, and the table name will be EMP tab. Here you can see, press on this table icon and you will find that in the EMP tab the data will be saved. It is taking some time. So here we can see 1 2 3. So employee ID we have not given, so it will automatically generated. Then department, here you can see, employee name you can see, salary. So we have created the table. Now next thing, we'll write some custom queries and see how can we use this by using this @query. So before that, what we will do in the test runner, let's delete this. Now we successfully store this data into the table. Now let's write repo dot find all, and for each will system dot out ::print ln will see print the data of the table. So find all is a method of given by this JPA repository. So let's save this, and in the Spring Boot Data JPA, press Ctrl F11. So it will print all the data. Here you can see all the data 1 to 12 columns are coming, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, T. So now first query we will see. I have already written here. So if I want to, from the employee table, if I want the employee by the given ID range, then how can we do that? So let's go to the employee repository. So here we will write one method. So the return type of that method will be list of employee fetch employee by ID range. So int min, int max, Control Shift O for importing list java.util.list. Then here we will use @query. Then here we have to give the JPQL or SQL query. So what we have to do is select the employee where employee ID is greater than this minimum value and maximum value. So we want to select all the employees. So in the SQL, how we write the query? Select star from, here we will give the table name, let's suppose employee. Select star from employee where employee ID is smaller than minimum and employee ID is, here we have to take greater than minimum and smaller than maximum. So this is a query we write in the SQL. So but here we are using HQL. So how to write? So we are selecting all the data, so no need to write the select star, only write from. And at the place of employee, this table name, what we have to do? We have to give the entity class name that we are mapping with the table. So what is that name? Employee. Go to the employee repository. So from this employee where this employee ID, it is a column name. So column name, what you have to do? Go to the employee and take this name, employee ID. We have to use these variables, whatever we have declared in the entity class. So employee ID greater than equals to minimum, and this minimum we have to use here. So we'll use here named parameter. That means we have to give colon and whatever the name we have taken, that we have to give min, and is same, and also here emp id smaller than equal to, and this value we have to take here. So for that, colon max. Here we are using named parameters. So what will happen? This value, the user we have that given, that will go here. This max value, this will go here. And make sure that this name should be same, whatever we are taking. And before that, we have to give this colon, and this will called as named parameters. So let's save this and let us execute this method. So I will call from test runner. So in this run, what we'll do, repo dot fetch employee by id range. If I give here a minimum value of 5 and maximum value, we will give here, what is the maximum value, how many rows are there, 12. So let's suppose we want up to 10, and we'll print this. So for each, then system dot out colon colon println. Let's save this. So after saving this, what you can do, go to the Spring Data JPA, this, and press Ctrl F11. So here we can see in the range of ID 5 to 10 we are getting the records, right? And select query, you can see select employee ID and name department. So we executed the first custom query. Then again go to the employee repository. Next we'll see. Now here we use the named parameters. Also we can use the positional parameters. You can see here position, we can give here 1 or 2. So let's see with the positional parameters. Positional param. So at the place of 1, this minimum will come. At the place of 2, this maximum will come. This is the named parameters we have used, minimum and maximum. Or also you can use the positional parameters, that is 1, 2, and whatever variables you have. And the query is same, only we changed these parameters from this entity class name, this column employee ID. So let's check this. So what is the name of this? Search by employee ID range. So let's go to the runner. So I will delete this. Now by using the positional param, we are checking. So repo dot search by employee ID range. Here I will give 5, and now here I will give 8. Then for each we will print the data. So system dot out colon colon println. Let's save this. So let's go to this main Spring Boot data, Control F11 for running. Now here we can see 5 to 8 is coming. So either we can give the named parameters or positional parameters. So let us see the next. Now we will see how can we use the native query. So here we will write one method, public list of employee search search emp by department, and we will give here a string department. Now add that query, and here we have to use this value and native query. So value equals to, so whatever SQL query you use like this, that we will use this. So how can we use this? Let's see. Select star from, so we are writing here a SQL query, so that means we have to use the table name. So what is the table name we have given is EMP tab. So select star from EMP tab, where, and here we have to give the column name. So what is the department column name? That is DEPT. So where DEPT equals to this, let me copy this name parameter variable we use. So what will happen? This department will go here, whatever value user will give. And as this is a native SQL query, so we have to give here a native query equals to true. So let's save this, and if I go to Spring Boot Data JPA, select application, press Ctrl F11. So in the runner I forgot to call this method. So what we'll do, let me comment first of all this, and we'll write here EMP according to department. So repo dot search employee by department. Here we'll give the department as QA. Then for each system dot out colon println. Let's save this. Now we'll see. So go to the main class. Where is Spring Boot? Press Ctrl F11. And here we can see all the employees which are in the department QA. We can see that the employee with the ID 14710 are in the QA. In the database also you can see that in the QA there are 1, 2, 3, 4 employees are there. That employees we can see. And in this, what we use, this native SQL query. That means select star from, this is a table name, and this is a what, column name of that table. And above this, what we use, SQL query. That means at the table name you have to give the entity class name, and at the column name you have to give the variable name. So this is also we see. Now next is, we'll also see some of the example. So let's suppose this example from employee name in this. So here public list of employee, fetch EMP by name. Here we'll take some name, name1, string name2, string name3. So now in this we have to write a logic to fetch the employee from the employee table by this name. So let's write a query. So add that query. Now here we'll use what, SQL query. So here we need not to write this star. Directly we can start from then class name employee, where now where what we are using, name. So for that we have to give this EMP name. So let's copy this, go to the employee repository, where employee name in first name1 colon name2 colon comma name3. So from employee where emp name in this name 1 or 2 or 3, and here we'll do order by emp name in the descending order. So here what is happening, we'll take the employee names from the user and we'll check according to this name. If the names are present, then we'll print that data in the descending order. So from the employee where employee name in these values and order by in the descending order. So let's test this in the test runner. So let me comment this. Next we have to check fetch emp by name. So repo dot fetch emp by name. Here we have to give the names A, and I will give here a D, and here we'll give G, and we have to print this. So for each so here we have to write for each system dot out colon print ln. Let's save this, go to the main class, press Ctrl F11, and here you can see GDA. What we have given in the runner GDA 8DG, and why this is coming as the order in GDA, because in the repository in the custom query we have given order by employee name in the descending order. So what will be the descending? GDA, here we can see. So let us see the next query. This is done. Now in the above example, what we seen is we are fetching the multiple rows. Now let us see how can we fetch the specific columns and we can print that. So this we'll see according to salary and employee name. So let's go to the repository. Here we'll write public list of, as we are taking the specific columns, so here we have to use object of array fetch emp by salary and name, double salary, and here we'll give string name1, string name2, string name3. Here we have to write the query. So now here we have to use the select. What will select? emp id, emp name, and emp salary. So here we will not select department, only we will select id, name, and salary. So this is for specific column, and all the others are for what? Multiple rows. So because of that, the return type is list of employees. Now here we are using specific columns. So for that reason we are using list of object array. So select emp id employee name from employee where emp sal is greater than equals to this salary, and emp name in name 1, comma, colon name 2, comma, colon name 3. So the query is done. Select employee ID, employee name, employee salary from the employee where employee salary is greater than salary and the name should be in this. So let's go to the test runner class. Let's comment this. Here we'll write fetch the emp id comma name comma salary by salary and name. So repo dot fetch employee by salary and name. So let's suppose I want to take the salary as that should be greater than 1100 and I want only the employee with H, K and L. So I will give here H, K and L. So what will happen? We'll fetch only the data of employees which having the salary greater than this and whose name is equal to H, K and L. Now as the return type is list of object of array, so here how can we print that? So dot stream dot map object into 0 plus so what will happen? The return type of the method is list of object of array. So let's suppose what we'll do if I not write this and if we check here for each system.out.println. So let us see what will be the output. So in the Spring Boot main class, press Ctrl F11. So here we can see we are getting the 3 records, but we are getting here a hash code. So for that we want only the data. So here we'll write this map into this object at position 0, 1, 2. It will print. So let's go to the runner. Where is run main? Ctrl F11. So here we can see 8H and its salary, K and L. Now in the runner, if I give here A and let's save this and press Ctrl F11 for running. We'll get only 2 data, H and K. Why? Because in the repository we have written here and. That means if these both the condition are true, then and thenly we will get the data. So whatever we have given HKA, so the salary should be greater than this 1100 and also the name should be in this. So the salary of A is not greater than 1100, so for that reason we are not getting this first row. So only we are getting is H and K. And also you can see that the employee ID, employee name and employee salary is coming, not the department, because we have written the query as only select employee ID, employee name, salary. So this is also done by specific columns we have seen. So next thing, what is this? Let us see. Specific columns you have seen. Now next thing is, if I want to fetch only one column. So let's suppose in the database I want only the employee names. So let us see. For specific column, so public, here we'll give the return type as list of string. Fetch emp name by id. So id mean int max. Here we have to write add the query. So what query we have to write? Select emp name from employee, employee. Select employee name from employee where emp id is greater than equals to min and emp id is smaller than equals to max, right? So we'll go it only the one column, that is employee name, by this condition. That means the whatever employee within this range, and that to the name. So let's save this, then go to the test runner. So let me comment this part. So fetch emp name column. So repo dot fetch emp name by id. Here I will give the range from 2 to 8. Then how can we print that? For each system dot out colon println. Let's save this and press Ctrl F11. We'll give the only employee name within the range 2 to 8. Here we can see B to H, and in the database table you can see that second is B to 8 H. So this is a way we can fetch only one column, specific column. So let's see the next example. Now how can we fetch the single row? Let's go here. Let's fetch the single row. So I'll write here public. Now as this is the only single row, so we'll take only the employee as a return type. Fetch single row according to the name. So add that query, select E from employee E. So this is the alias name of this table we are giving E, where emp name equals to colon name. So this is the alias name I am giving here, employee. If any record with the name, that will fetch. Select E from employee where employee name equal to name. So let's go to the test runner. So let me comment this. Fetch only one row. So repo dot in the system dot out dot println we'll write sysout. What happened here? Sysout repo dot fetch single row. That too we have to take a name. I will take B. So let's Ctrl F11. So here we can see only one row is coming according to the name, and the name is B. So this is a way we can fetch only single row. Now next is in the single row specific column we can also fetch. So how can we do that? Let's go to the Eclipse. Here we are fetching above, in the above only fetching the single row, but here what we'll do, single row is there but specific are there. Single row specific columns, single row specific columns. So in the above example we have seen all the columns within that row, but here only we will fetch employee ID, employee name and salary. So go to the test runner, and here if we comment this and same query I will execute. Let's copy this. Same query is not there, that the name of this will be what we have given in the employee repository, fetch employee partial data by name. So fetch employee partial data by the name. So press Ctrl F11. Here we can see we are getting this hash code because we fetch only the specific column. So how to print this data? Let us go to the runner. We'll store this data into the one array. So object of array result equals to, and that data will convert into object array. Now we'll print. So for each loop we have to use here for object ob in the result sys out control space enter ob sys out. So previously we are getting this hash code, now we will get the data as we are printing this. So let's press Ctrl F11. It will run again. Now we can see that employee ID, employee name and employee salary. So the specific column we are getting from the row. So single row specific column is done. Next thing, what is next thing? Single row is done, single row specific column is also done. Now let's use this aggregate function. This is a simple. So for fetching the maximum salary we have the aggregate function called max. So let's go here and paste. So it will fetch the maximum salary from the table employee. So fetch maximum salary. So let's go to the runner and test this. So let me comment this. So sys out repo dot fetch maximum salary. Let's save this, press Ctrl F11. We should get the maximum salary. So the output will come here. Here you can see 2000. In the database table, if I go here, here you can see maximum is 2000 at the end. We are getting this. Also there are many functions like maximum and minimum, then average, then count of star. This will give all the number of columns present in our table, then sum of employee salaries. So let's check this. So let me copy this, go to the here, and in the employee repository this, so select maximum of salary, then minimum of salary, then average, then also the count, that means whatever the rows are present, then sum of salaries, and the return type is object. So how to print this? Go to the runner. So let us comment this same as like this, whatever we have done here. Let's copy this object of array result, then here we have to give the repo dot fetch aggregate data, and what happened? So here we'll print the data. So sys out, what is the first one? Maximum, minimum, average. So max sal will be result at 0th position. Control Alt down down down. Mean salary, average, here total rows, and sum of all salary. At the 1th index minimum, 2nd index average will come, 3rd index total number of rows, and 4th index sum of salaries. So let me see whether this is correct or not. Maximum, minimum, average, count, sum. Maximum, minimum, average, count, sum. Let us press Ctrl F11 and we should get the result. So here we can see maximum salary is 2000, minimum salary is 200, average of all the salaries 1150, and total number of rows are 12, and the sum of salaries is 13,800. So this is a way we can write the custom queries in the Spring Data JPA by using the annotation called query. So we have seen the JPA, HQL and JPQL queries. Also one example of native query we can see. While using the native query, we have to give this value and native query equal to true. And in the HQL queries, this named parameter we can see, also the positional parameters. So if these name parameters are not working, then what you can do is go to the Spring Data JPA, right click on this project and go to the properties, and here we have to choose for compiler and make sure that all the options are checked, and if any option is not checked, then check all the option and apply and close. Yes, so only in the case if these queries are not executing in the named parameter, then you have to do that. Otherwise, if that working, then no need to do that. So if you like this video, then you can hit like button and subscribe to our channel.